The great work of your life is being open to whatever it is that's happening and coming next. Today is the day. Today is the day that matters. And you can't change what's past. You can influence what's ahead, but the only thing you can actually have any meaningful impact on is right here and right now. I'm going to stick with Horton. I said what I meant and I meant what I said. Sorry. Meant what I said and I said what I meant. An elephant's faithful 100%. I think you just have to say it like it is, and you have to mean what you say, and you have to stand by it, and you have to be true to who you are. And that demonstrates your faith in yourself and also in others. It's a very respectful way to walk through the world.
Welcome to the Great Work of Your Life interview series. I am so thrilled to be here today with Dr. Denise S. Brown. She is the CEO of Telehealth Solution, a telehealth medicine firm in Dallas that specializes in rural medicine. So welcome, Dr. Brown. I'm delighted to have you on the series today.
I'm excited to be here.
I've listened to quite a few of your presentations. You talk about irresistible culture, trustworthy leadership, crucial conversations, disruptive healthcare. What I found was really interesting is it's underscored by your personal philosophy. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Oh, absolutely. So I think my sort of reason for living, if you will, my true calling is to ignite joy and passion in others. And I think that when you are really your authentic self and you bring what it is that makes you whole into whatever space you're in, it just helps everybody be their best. So whether it's having a difficult conversation with a patient, and I can open up my own sort of heart and be willing to share my story, or it's trying to get everyone united around a project at work by bringing your own sort of passion and energy and trying to ignite that. I really feel like that fuels others to achieve their best. So that is the overarching theme of what I've done for my entire life.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And your energy is contagious, by the way, which is a great segue into the first question, which is, Dr. Brown, what gives you energy?
Oh my goodness. I think there's lots of different kinds of energy to start with. I think there's that sort of deep, soulful energy that really comes from meditation. I do a meditative practice every morning. I'm big into hypnosis. I really believe strongly in the power of manifesting your beliefs and your expectations. So I think there's an internal kind of a glowing energy that you have to self-sustain and comes from the universe. And then I think there's the sort of energy that you give out, and that is more of a reflective energy. And so doing things like this, where I'm getting to talk to someone interesting and I'm learning their story, that gives me energy as well. So I think there's a little bit of two flavors for me. And I just think the overarching probably theme of that is just a curiosity about the universe. And that is great for my sort of own internal fire, if you will. And then also being able to bounce that off and receive energy from others.
Excellent said. How about the opposite? What drains your energy?
Oh, I hate like infighting politics, nitpicky, gossipy behavior. Emotional immaturity, I guess. That drains my energy.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of folks listening who would raise their hand and say the same. All right. This is the Great Work for Your Life series. So this is arguably one of the most important questions. What do you love the most about your work? And what do you like least about your work?
I'm in a relatively new role, which has been incredibly exciting. I grew up in a small town. My mom got sick, unfortunately, and died a long way from home because we didn't have the sort of resource in our sort of area to be able to provide for her. And now I have the opportunity to lead an organization that is revolutionizing the way hospital care is delivered in small town America. And we're presenting a scalable, affordable approach to have high quality inpatient care. That's really important because not only is it important for the patient, but it's also important for the hospital. Many small hospitals are really struggling. The pandemic was difficult for them. Now that federal funds have gone away, they're left even more in the lurch. And as we see people moving in more and more into rural spaces, there's a gap between what we're able to provide from a healthcare standpoint. And the challenge really is when a hospital closes, and we've seen so many small hospitals close over the last decade. Many times the town dries up. Many times the hospital is one of the leading employers. It's the sort of focus of the town. And so what I'm really excited about in my new role is that I'm getting to take this sort of ability to care for people and to transmit compassion and energy to them in a whole new way. So we can go into a small town, we can stabilize the hospital's operations, provide excellent care, but then also really, in all honesty, take care of a community. And that to me is just, it's so emotionally important for me. I feel like I'm finally giving back. And I guess I'm a John Cougar Mellencamp. I was born in a small town girl, but that really excites me to be able to do that. And I feel like it's the culmination of all sorts of different pieces of what I have done over the course of my career up until now, all coalescing together to do something really cool.
Your energy is so contagious about it. It's really inspiring. And it's more than selling a telemedicine solution. It's really about economic development. It's about thriving communities. That's what I'm hearing from you. And that's what really gets you jazzed.
Absolutely. Anybody can say, oh, we do telemedicine. That's yay, good for you. How does that look? Are you bringing the art of healing into the digital age, or are you just a face on a screen? Like, how are you interacting? And what we've really set ourselves apart to do is to really provide that sort of healing environment. I think that's something that's sorely lacking in medicine today and healthcare in general, is that sacred interaction that we used to have with the patient and the physician. And how do we bring that back, but still be able to utilize technology in a way that actually makes that more rewarding? And we've come upon a way to do that where we can help hospitals remain financially viable, but still be able to give back not only to the patients and their families, but to the nursing staffs and whatnot of the hospital, that sort of sacred interaction.
Yeah. So thank you. Curious. What do you like least about your work? You're a very positive person. Can you give us an insider's view?
Oh my goodness. Velocity, I think. And so I'm not a hurry up and get it done, but it's let's get it done today. And so I'm constantly having to check myself and my own sort of desires to go and to recognize that the world doesn't necessarily move as quickly. And so I think it's a natural push-pull. You want to act, you want to do, you want to change things, but then you still have to recognize that there's a season for that and there's a timing. So yeah, I think that's the part that I'm always just, everything always takes longer than you think it should or you wish it would.
Yeah, understood. Next question, and I'm really curious about your answer to this one, is when? Was there a time or a place or a moment when you realized that you knew what the great work of your life would be?
Wow. Did it radiate from on high? I don't think there was like one aha moment. And I actually feel like I hope that people don't just wait for an aha moment. I think that one of the things that I've always been entertained by really is my curiosity in the world and how that my worldview evolves over time. And so I think the great work of your life should also always be evolving. And I'm never in the same place twice. And right now is the only moment that really matters. When I look at the past, the focus of the great work of my life has probably changed. Like when my kids were little, that was really the focus. And now they're a little bit older and I can shift my focus a little bit. The overarching theme is probably the same, but the sort of tactics and the actual work has probably changed. I think that if I had to say, what is the great work of your life? The great work of your life is being open to whatever it is that's happening and coming next, and like to be present for that and recognize it when the universe is shouting down at you and taking heed of that.
Yeah, there's a great soundbite in there that you said, maybe this is the headline for this particular interview, where the great work of your life is always evolving. And I think you're a living example of that.
Absolutely. And if I look back at my 19-year-old self, would I have ever thought I would be doing what I'm doing? Absolutely not. And so I can't wait to see what I'm doing when I'm 75. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, definitely. Valedictorian of your class, standing ovation when you gave that speech, decided to become a doctor. Was there something that fueled that fire?
I grew up in a house of science, very much a math and science kind of a home, but I was always very interested in public speaking and storytelling. And when I went to college, I thought I was going to be an investigative journalist. And so that was actually what I was studying. And I discovered that the stories that I was most compelled to find out more about really had to do with health and impact of environment and wellness. We were calling it wellness in the early 90s. But those were the things that sort of intrigued me. And because I was a child of scientists, I had taken all my science classes at UC Berkeley anyway, because that was what my mom said I better do. And I realized that maybe journalism wasn't the way to get at people's stories. Maybe there was something different. And that's when I decided that medical school probably actually could be a perfect combination of those two things. And it really has turned out to be that way.
Excellent. How about freak out moments? Have you ever had doubts or freak out moments about the great work of your life where you said, oh my gosh, I should open a restaurant. I should do something completely different.
Gosh, the imposter syndrome is real, right? You can't deny it. I think what you can do though is harness it. And so normally when I have those moments where I'm like, oh my God, what is happening right now? I try to take that fear, anxiety, butterflies, if you will, and not necessarily put them in a jar, but try to put my arms around them and be like, okay, we can either call this fear or we can call this excitement and we can call this anticipation or we can call it anxiety. And so it's really a mindset. And I think I've gotten better at doing that as I've gotten older. So the freak out moments, while they still happen, I can acknowledge them and then harness them and move on. But gosh, there's so many, we would have to have another hour to really go into them. And they get you at the weirdest little times. It's funny.
You're so right about the imposter syndrome. I'm glad you mentioned it because I can say unequivocally, every single one of my clients has gone through it, has had episodes of it. It is a thing. I've been doing a lot of reading about it. And it's actually a good segue into this next question, which is, how do you define success? If someone asked you that, how would you define success now at this juncture in your career?
There's so many exterior versions of what success is or looks like. And I recognize I'm answering this from a place of 100% privilege, in that I have a roof over my head and I'm happily married and I have a great job and I have all of these things, which I think are the external markers of success. And I'm very grateful for those. For me personally, I think success is quite honestly living your values and being true to who I am. And that's an evolution, obviously. And that would be probably where I would say what success is. And obviously, I've worked really hard to get to where I'm at, and hard work is important and preparation is important. And then being open to the universe is also important. And so those are the three key elements for me, but that is wrapped around sinking into who I am, just putting it out there and being exactly that.
And stepping into your greatness, the great work of your life, like stepping into that and really owning it.
Yeah.
Which you have. So if you had to do it all over again, Dr. Brown, what would that look like and why?
Oh man, I've had such a great ride. I think I wouldn't really change a thing. I really wouldn't. It's been fun. Maybe I could have taken some time off between college and med school, but maybe not. I think I'm never one to look in the rearview mirror and be like, oh shucks, I should have done that or I should have done that. I just think it's a really interesting ride that we're on. I've met some absolutely amazing people along the way, and people come and go in your life and you learn things from them and you assemble your life's view. My girlfriend has the greatest analogy and I love it. You got to weave a rich tapestry, and the tapestry changes over time, and the things that matter at certain points in your life don't matter as much later on, but the tapestry is always rich and there's always vibrant colors and nubby textures and all sorts of things. And so that's really been what I've aspired to do and what I tell my kids to do, to just get out there and live. We're only here for such a limited time, and to share your joy with the world. And I wouldn't trade a thing. I wouldn't do a thing different.
Okay. Thank you. And I've noticed during the COVID, at least having conversations with folks, that there's been a real reckoning. You mentioned the rearview mirror. That doesn't exist for you. And I'm hearing a lot that of the same type of resetting where folks they're just looking ahead, because we've come face to face with the grim reaper, and we have to decide that we're going to live a certain way according to, as you say, to what really is success, what defines success for each person playing their own game. Yeah.
I mean, I guess I had to grow up, or I came to a realization more quickly. My mom died when I was relatively young. I was 24, I guess. And she was young. She was like 53. And so that really was a great awakening very early on in my sort of career and my sort of early adulthood, in the kind of like, today is the day. Today is the day that matters. And you can't change what's past. You can influence what's ahead, but the only thing you can actually have any meaningful impact on is right here and right now. And so that was a gift that I think many folks get to later in their lives. You reach that sort of maturity. I got a little bit slapped into that, having lost her as a sort of fundamental person in my life, but recognizing the greatest gift that she could give me was today's the day. This is the day that matters.
Yeah. You had a nickname for her. What was the nickname?
Oh, Big Mama.
Yes. And why is that?
She's about 5'3", and you did not mess with her.
I have a visual now. I want to meet her. I want to meet her.
Yeah, no, she's good egg. We'll all drink champagne somewhere
Right.
someday together.
In
Yeah.
the ethers. Yes, exactly. How about your superpower? Where have you spent 10,000 hours honing your superpower?
I think my superpower is an ability to really authentically connect with people, and it doesn't matter who or where they are. I think that my curiosity is actually my superpower, and my curiosity fuels my joy because I just think the world is a fabulously interesting place. And so I think curiosity is probably actually my real superpower.
Yeah, it shows. It definitely shows. I can attest to that for sure. Is there anything you wish you were better at?
Oh, gosh, there's so many things I wish I was better at. I really wish I was better at baking. And I think the reason that I'm not good at baking is I'm like that's more or less a cup of flour, dump it in. There are some people who are super detail oriented. I'm not one of those people. I'm detailish oriented, but not down to that sort of let's measure it by the milligram kind of a type thing. So sometimes I really wish that I was better at baking because I think that means a whole lot of things for people who are really good at baking. I'm great at cooking though, because I'm like, whoa, let's try that. Oh, no, we need a little more lemon. It's just a philosophy. I'm definitely a lumper, not a splitter, but it's important that you have both. So I think that's the one thing that I am really good at is recognizing what my skill sets are and what they aren't, and making sure to have a team of people whose skills and lack of skills are really complementary. And then we're really dynamic together.
The Andrew Carnegie principle, he openly admitted that he knew at what he was the best in the world. And he has surrounded himself with folks that were great at everything else.
Yeah,
it works.
Expert. And I love to watch people who are experts in their field, whether it's the guy who's painting the walls of your house, which I could never do, and they just make it look so effortless, or the basketball player or the singer or anyone who is truly I just find it so fascinating to watch and to know all the hard work that went into that. Why on earth would I pretend to be that expert? So I think a lot of physicians especially suffer from the expert fallacy. When you're really good at one thing, you somehow think you're really great at everything. And that is not me. So if I'm going to go out and try to do some marketing work, I'm going to just listen to other people who do it for a living because that's what I'm always in awe of expertise. I think it's really amazing.
Same. It's such a privilege to be in the presence of someone who's on brand. Yeah, for sure. So Oprah used to do this column in her magazine, and she used to talk about, this is what I know to be true. So I think I may know the answer to this, but I think folks listening would love to know in your words, what do you know about yourself to be absolutely true?
I have a deep and abiding love for a lot of things.
Yes. Okay. Got it. Excellent. Perfect. Yeah. And you mentioned the tapestry. Weave a rich tapestry. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
This is a fun question. I love asking this question because I just never know what's going to come out of this. So what would people be surprised to know about you?
Oh, that I'm actually an introvert.
That I would have never guessed in a million years.
Yeah.
Yes.
On all
good answer.
On all the things, I'm actually an introvert.
No
I love
kidding.
to just be by myself in the quiet with no noise whatsoever.
Yeah. So you've learned to be extroverted. You've learned to be very social.
Yeah, I enjoy it. So I am definitely a blend, but when you weight it on the scale, I'm actually more introverted than I am extroverted. And I think a lot of that has to do with what restores you. And I think when I really need that sort of quiet time, I know when I need to go away, and I take myself away to find that restorative time. So that, I think, in most definitions for folks is really what being an introvert means. It's like your own kind of, and I think that's when we were talking about energy earlier, that kind of shows my sort of, I have a little bit of a duality there, if you will, but like really it's that internal energy. That's the part that is the most cherished for me. That's that sort of introverted, I need to meditate, I want to go read, I don't like to have any sound, I want to be quiet. Versus the balancing the energy back. I do get energy from that, but it's tiring for me. And so that's how I know that it's time to hold
Yes.
up.
Understood. We'd like to get your advice. 2 more questions and then 1 bonus question. So we need your advice on a book. What's a book that inspired you to behave or think differently?
Oh, I love Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind.
Oh, I have not
Yeah.
read that one.
It's a
Okay.
good one. It's a good one. I think it is the power of the beginner's mindset is just so impressive, right? The expert knows the way. The beginner is like the world is wide open and there's nothing but possibility. And I think to the extent that you can try to hold that concept in your mind, even as an expert, to be like, what if I was just walking into this and I knew nothing about it? How might I react to things differently, respond to things differently, hear things differently? And you get really stuck in your ways if you're not consciously checking yourself. And trying to maintain that beginner's mindset, I think, is just never a bad idea.
Thank you. It's going on the Kindle list for sure. And I'm glad this question is the last one before we do the bonus question. We may know the answer to this, but we'd love to hear it in your words. What's your favorite quote or motto or mantra and why?
I have quite a few of them, but I'm going to stick with Horton. I said what I meant and I meant what I said. Sorry. Meant what I said and I said what I meant. An elephant's faithful 100%. I think you just have to say it like it is, and you have to mean what you say, and you have to stand by it, and you have to be true to who you are. And that demonstrates your faith in yourself and also in others. It's a very respectful way to walk through the world.
Great. Before we get to the last question, thank you so much for carving out the time. So very much appreciate you. This was really interesting. And for folks that are listening who are interested, DeniseSBrownMD.com. Did I get that right? DeniseSBrownMD.com. If you'd like to know more about Dr. Brown's speaking and what is on her mind, that's a great place to go. Anything else before we go to the last question?
No, this has been really fun. It's always, oh gosh, what's she going to ask me next? No, this has been really entertaining and I appreciate you having me.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been super. And we have one last legacy question, if you will. And it goes like this. If you could do, be, have, see anything, or put a different way, if a higher power would let you, what would you do?
And money's no object.
There are no limitations at all. No limitations in money, geography, mindset. It is that you use the word possibility. The possibilities are for the taking.
I love it. I love it. I think I'd like to spend some time somewhere in the Caribbean with the sea turtles and the dolphins. And I would love to teach science to like that sort of 5th to 8th grade. That's what I would love to do. So when I hang up my spurs, doing whatever it is that I'm doing, that's what I'd love to spend some time doing that.
I understand you love the laws of physics, that you're obsessed with the laws of physics. That's your jam.
Physics is fun. Newtonian physics is a jam. And I think it's so neat to watch kids see the like absolute consequence of what happens and why and explain it to them that, yeah, I could totally see myself doing something like that.
Really appreciate you being here today.
Thank you, Mary.